3 mistakes to avoid when you're throwing punches and kicks on the heavy bag or when you're working with your partner. Try to avoid these mistakes as much as possible during the training, because if you do them in a fight, you can get knocked down or even knocked out. So we don't want that. We want to win all of our fights. So try to avoid these mistakes as much as possible during the training, because how you train is how you're going to fight. So let's get it on. The first and most important thing that you must do is keep your hands up. You're going to hear this a lot during your trainings. Keep your hands up, keep your hands up. The first mistake you need to avoid is don't lower your arms when you're throwing punches. Let's say you're throwing a jab. Try to not lower the other arm down. Try to keep it up. Or when you're throwing a cross or a hook or an uppercut, try to not lower the other arm down. Try to keep it up, because while you're punching your opponent and you lower the other arm, you will give your opponent the opportunity to counter you. And if he catch you, he can put you down. No, try to keep the other arm up when you're throwing any punch, cross, hook, uppercut. Try to keep your hands up, and that will help you develop a strong defense. You will have a good defense when you're throwing punches, and will help you, give you more confidence to throw the punches, because you will be protected all the time. So try to keep your hands up to be protected all the time. And the second mistake is related with the first one. When you're throwing jab or a cross, don't lower your hand and get it back up. Or when you're throwing a hook, don't lower your hand and get it back up. Try to avoid doing this, because again, when you're throwing a cross and you lower your hand, you give a little window of opportunity to your opponent to catch you with a counter shot. No, try to get it back in a straight line, back in the guard. When you're throwing jab, cross, hook, try to get it back in the guard in a straight line. That's how you're going to be protected all the time. You don't leave any room for your opponent to catch you with a counter shot. And you must be active all the time. So try to get your hand back in the guard, not lower and then put it back in the guard. Try to get it back in guard after you're throwing a punch. And the third mistake you must avoid is not twisting the jab and the cross, throwing just straight from the guard. No, try to twist the jab, the cross, and to hit with the knuckles. The knuckles will give the power to your punches. Twisting the arms, you will break your opponent's guard and you will catch him with the knuckles. That's why it's very important to twist the jab and the cross when you're throwing them. So try to twist the jab, the cross. Try to work them really easy on the heavy bag or with your partner. Don't try to rush into it. Try to be patient and work them correctly. Don't rush into it. The same with keeping your hands up and getting back in the guard. Try to work them as clean as possible in the beginning. Try to be patient. If you avoid these mistakes during your training, you will develop a good guard, you will have a good defense when you're throwing punches, and you will have strong punches, jab, cross, if you twist the punches when you're throwing them. Try to practice them and to be patient, and you will get to it. Now let's go see what mistakes to avoid when we are throwing kicks. The first mistake you need to avoid, don't lower both of your hands when you're throwing the kicks. You can do this instead. Try to keep your hands up, and when you're hitting, let's say with the right leg, you can lower the right arm down. That will give you a counter balance. And you can do this with the other leg too. When you're hitting with the left leg, you can keep the right arm up and you can lower the left arm. But try to keep your hands up, and only when you're kicking you can lower the other arm down. But all the time you have to keep your hands up. This is an important rule you must follow. Always keep your hands up. If you're throwing middle kick or high kick, you will lower your arm to make a counterbalance, but the other arm must be up to be protected when you're throwing middle kick. If he will throw a hook, to block it. When you're throwing low kick, you can put the arm in front of your opponent to distract him. But it's really important to have one arm up when you're throwing the right kick. You will have the left arm up. When you're throwing the left kick, you will have the right arm up. When you're throwing knees, the same, have the arm up, tip. Always have the arms up to be protected when you're throwing kicks and to not be surprised with a counter shot. The second mistake you must avoid when you're throwing kicks is not pivoting on your support leg when you're throwing kicks. The power of the kicks doesn't come from the leg when you're just throwing the leg. The power comes from the support leg when you're pivoting and when you put your hips into the kick. So try to pivot and put the hip into the kick, like this. That's where the power comes from, when you're pivoting and putting the hip in. It's not from the leg. No, it's from the hip and pivoting on the support leg. It's the same when you're throwing knees. You put your hips in. When you're throwing tips, it's the same. From the support leg and your hip comes the power, and not from the actually leg. So try to pivot and try to put your hips when you're throwing the kicks. And the third mistake you must avoid, and is really important one, is not hitting with your shin when you're throwing kicks. You're hitting with the tip of your leg. No, try to hit with the shin, because that's where the power and the damage comes from the shin. The shin is a powerful bone, and you must practice it to hit with the shin, because that's where the damage will come when you throw the kicks. So try to hit with the shin. Maybe it will hurt in the beginning when you're going to throw kicks on the heavy bag, but try to put some shin guards and work with the shin guards on the heavy bag when you're throwing kicks. And when you're working with a partner, you will have shin guards, and in time your shins will become stronger, but with practice. So try to hit with the shin, try to pivot and put the hip into the kick, and always have one hand up when you're throwing kicks. If you do this when you're throwing kicks and you will practice it during your training, you will have strong and powerful kicks, and there are less chances to get caught with a counter shot when you're throwing kicks. So start practicing. If you try to avoid these mistakes as much as possible during your training, you will have a good defense, a strong guard, and good punches. You will have good and powerful and fast kicks, and you will become a better fighter. Try to practice a good form of your techniques as much as possible during training, because how you train is how you're going to fight. So be aware what you're doing during the trainings, because it will help you become a better fighter and win your next fight. What technique do you want to improve next? Comment down below, and the most voted one, I will do it in my next video. Until next time, stay strong, be unstoppable, champ.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night, try to catch me howling at the moon.